three most important reasons, according to you, that why UK should leave EU?
Because the future growth in the world is not going to happen in the EU. It's going to happen in places like India. We would therefore be more prosperous. I also think it's better for democracy if we take back control. There are a lot of extremist political problems happening in the EU today as a consequence of that feeling of a loss of control. I don't want a political union with that. I want us to take back control. So we could be more open, more internationalist, more outward-looking, and more prosperous. Three good reasons.
Do you think EU system as a whole is generally democratic in itself?
No, it's not. The EU is emphatically about suppressing democracy. This isn't just an opinion. You look at the three EU institutions. The European Commission is unelected, and they're the only people who can propose laws. The European Council of Ministers, in which we have a 12% share of the votes, frequently outvotes us. Qualified majority voting means that basically those we elect no longer really make the decisions, but a group of people that aren't answerable to us make those decisions, and we've been outvoted repeatedly. Yes, there's the European Parliament, but the European Parliament is not an effective democratic institution. It's very effective at helping itself to taxpayer money and tax-free subsidies. It's not a very good institution at holding to account the European institutions. And again, you can look at this factually. In 2010 to 2014, there were about 1,900 votes in the European Parliament. On about 800 occasions, the majority of British MEPs, those we elected in this country, were against the motion. In 84% of times, it went ahead anyway. That's not democracy.
Do you think that EU Parliament or EU as a system is accountable to British citizens?
No, it's not. It's not accountable to British citizens. And this is why I think the political elite love it, because it means that they can make public policy without reference to the public, and it's why the public hates it. If we are going to be a true democracy, then I think we need to leave it.
Do you think if we stay in the EU, immigration is going to increase or decrease?
I think we're going to need more labour mobility, however you look at it, for a very simple reason. As the world gets more prosperous, there are tens of millions of middle-class people joining the global economy around the world, and they're going to want to move around more. That's inevitable. Look in London today. You see people from China visiting Westminster Abbey who probably couldn't have afforded the ticket a generation ago. This is part of globalization, and there's no point in trying to resist it. It's actually a good thing, because as more people become more prosperous and middle class,
so do you
it's
think
better.
Immigration should increase in the UK?
We need to control it. If you have higher levels of labour mobility in the future, all the more reason to be able to control it. If we use new technology and we use common sense, we can do so in a way that works for everyone. Look, many of the most successful economies are the most open, but the fact that you're open in this day and age is all the more reason to exercise a sensible degree of control. If we were like Australia, with a points-based migration system, we could have all the benefits of labour mobility, and we could do a little bit more to do something we've not quite got right, which is to focus on creating that sense of social cohesion. And Australia does it wonderfully, and they're brilliant at it, and we need to be even better.
If immigration increases in the UK, house prices are already going through the roof. There will be more pressure on our public housing and our NHS?
Undoubtedly, migration has put pressure on public services and on housing. But let's also be clear, there is also pressure on house prices because of the failure of successive generations of British politicians to allow enough houses to be built. You've got to be a little bit careful at looking at this in one-dimensional terms, but without question, increased levels of migration. Let me put it this way. Over a 4-year period in the last Parliament, 2.5 million EU nationals came into the country. We only discovered this 3 weeks ago because the government took a long time to fess up to the statistics. But that's the equivalent of 19 cities the size of Cambridge. Now, I think you've got to be very careful. If you have that sort of uncontrolled pressure on public services and housing, it's going to have unintended consequences. If we could control migration, we'd be able to plan and make sure we could provide. And that's, I think, a sensible thing for a sensible country to want to do.
Last question, economic point of view, do you think that our trade with the EU bloc is going up or is it going down? If it is going down, do you think it makes sense to stay in the EU on that basis, or it's better to stay with the non-EU trading
It's countries? A point of fact, not opinion, that in 2005, about 2/3 of the value of our exports went to the EU. I think it was 67% of all of our exports by value went to the EU. That's now down to 43%. It's a falling so precipitously, it'll probably be even lower by the time this interview finishes. Why are we tying ourselves to the world's only declining trade bloc? Look at some of the growth rates. Since 2007, this is less than a decade ago, since 2007, the economy of India has doubled. The economy of China has grown fourfold. Even the economy of Ethiopia has doubled. Why are we tying ourselves to Italy and Germany and France? Their growth rates have been nothing compared to that. The future for our prosperity lies in being a global player. This country has been at its best when it has been in close contact with every continent and every corner of the earth. Why close ourselves off from that huge world of opportunity out there? Let's be part of it.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Douglas.
Thank you very
so
much. Brilliant.
Pleasure.
Thank you for having me.